The Dallas Cowboys are entering one of the most fascinating and unpredictable off-seasons in recent franchise history. This is a team that has reshaped its roster, altered the identity of its defense, and accumulated valuable draft capital that could ultimately determine the direction of the franchise for years to come. When you step back and analyze the bigger picture, the Cowboys are not simply making routine off-season adjustments. They are undergoing a calculated reset of key defensive positions while still trying to remain competitive in the short term. The result is a roster that feels both promising and unfinished, with several strategic decisions still looming before the 2026 season arrives. One of the most surprising developments of the offseason came with the decision to trade defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa to the San Francisco 49ers. Just a year earlier, the Cowboys had committed heavily to him with a 4-year contract worth $80 million. At the time, that move signaled long-term stability in the interior defensive line. But the NFL is a league where schemes evolve quickly, and the arrival of defensive coordinator Christian Parker has dramatically changed the expectations for Dallas defenders. In Parker's system, the role that Odighizuwa would have played simply no longer made sense within the broader structural vision of the defense. The Cowboys had previously assembled what many analysts believed was the most complete interior defensive line rotation in the league. With Odighizuwa, Kenny Clark, and Quinnen Williams all commanding significant salaries, Dallas had built a unit that could dominate games from the inside out. However, a shift toward a 3-4 defensive scheme meant the positional responsibilities changed dramatically. Instead of attacking gaps in an aggressive four-man front, interior defenders would be asked to play different alignments and occupy space in ways that did not maximize Odighizuwa's strengths. Rather than force an awkward fit, the Cowboys chose to move him while his value remained high. That decision created an unexpected problem. Suddenly, a position that once appeared to be one of the deepest on the roster became a glaring need. The free agent market has already been picked over, leaving Dallas with very few options if they want a proven veteran capable of stepping into the lineup immediately. One name that continues to surface is Calais Campbell, a remarkable defensive lineman who is approaching his 40th birthday, yet continues to perform at a high level. Campbell has built a reputation as one of the most durable and productive veterans in league history, consistently generating pressure and maintaining strong performance grades year after year. Signing a player of Campbell's age might seem risky at first glance, but there is a strong argument that it could make sense for Dallas. His experience, leadership, and versatility would immediately stabilize the defensive line while younger players develop behind him. Campbell's ability to produce quarterback pressures even deep into his career suggests he still has something left in the tank. In a defense that is undergoing schematic transformation, having a veteran presence who understands multiple fronts and assignments could prove invaluable. While the defensive line remains a question mark, the Cowboys have already taken a step toward strengthening another vulnerable part of their defense, the secondary. The addition of cornerback Cobie Durant is one of those moves that may not dominate national headlines, but could end up having a significant impact on the field. Durant arrives in Dallas after showing flashes of playmaking ability with the Los Angeles Rams, including a remarkable rookie season where he led the entire NFL in interception return yards. Durant brings something the Cowboys desperately need: speed, instincts, and the ability to turn defense into instant offense. His quick closing speed allows him to break on the ball with precision, and his awareness in coverage often puts him in position to create turnovers. Those qualities align perfectly with the aggressive philosophy that Christian Parker wants to implement in the secondary. Parker values cornerbacks who can play multiple roles, move between the slot and the boundary, and maintain discipline while still attacking opportunities. Another intriguing aspect of Durant's game is his versatility. He has experience playing both inside and outside, which gives the coaching staff the flexibility to move him around depending on matchups. His ability to blitz effectively from the slot adds another dimension to the defense, allowing Dallas to disguise pressure packages and confuse opposing quarterbacks. For a defense that struggled to generate consistent disruption last season, players who can create chaos are essential. However, Durant is not without limitations. His smaller frame means he can occasionally struggle against larger receivers or physical rushing attacks. The Cowboys coaching staff will need to be strategic about how they deploy him, ensuring that his strengths are highlighted while minimizing the situations where his size could become a liability. Still, his competitiveness and playmaking instincts make him an intriguing addition to a secondary that desperately needed reinforcements. The Cowboys' defensive rebuild does not stop there. As the team looks ahead to the 2026 NFL Draft, it is clear that several positions remain priorities. Cornerback continues to be a major area of focus, especially with uncertainty surrounding the long-term health and development of some current players. One prospect generating significant buzz is Tennessee cornerback Colton Hood, a player whose physical style and athletic explosiveness have caught the attention of scouts across the league. Hood is the type of cornerback who thrives in press coverage. He possesses violent hands at the line of scrimmage and has the patience to avoid being fooled by complex receiver releases. His willingness to tackle and contribute in the run game adds another layer to his value, especially for a defense that demands physicality from every position. The Cowboys are clearly looking for defenders who can match up in man coverage while also supporting the run, and Hood fits that description almost perfectly. What makes Hood particularly intriguing is the way his game evolved over the past season. With Tennessee dealing with injuries in its secondary, he stepped into a larger role and responded with a breakout performance that showcased his potential. His combination of speed, toughness, and competitive instincts has pushed him firmly into first-round consideration. If Dallas decides to address the secondary early in the draft, Hood could very well be one of the players at the top of their board. At the same time, the Cowboys cannot ignore the need for pass rush help on the edge. The modern NFL revolves around disrupting the quarterback, and Dallas understands that maintaining pressure off the edge is essential to defensive success. One name gaining traction among scouts is Texas A&M outside linebacker Cassius Howell, a player whose explosive pass rushing ability has drawn comparisons to some of the league's most dynamic defenders. Howell's rise to prominence is one of the more compelling stories in this draft class. After beginning his career at Bowling Green, he eventually transferred to Texas A&M and developed into one of the most productive pass rushers in college football. His breakout season saw him rack up double-digit sacks while consistently terrorizing opposing quarterbacks with his first-step quickness and ability to bend around the edge. What stands out most about Howell is his refined pass rush arsenal. Many college edge rushers rely purely on athleticism, but Howell combines speed with technique. His spin move, cross-chop, and speed-to-power transitions allow him to win in multiple ways, making him far more difficult for offensive tackles to neutralize. Those traits are exactly what NFL teams look for when evaluating potential impact defenders. If you're enjoying this deep breakdown of the Cowboys' offseason strategy and what it could mean for the future of the franchise, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. We dive into detailed analysis like this every week, breaking down the biggest stories in the NFL and what they mean for teams across the league. Beyond individual prospects, the Cowboys are entering the draft with a strategic advantage that could shape their decision-making process: multiple first-round picks. That flexibility opens the door to a wide range of possibilities. The assumption among many analysts is that Dallas will double down on defense, using both selections to address the most glaring weaknesses on the roster. But the reality inside the draft war room may be far more complicated. If the top defensive prospects are selected before Dallas is on the clock, the team could find itself facing an interesting dilemma. Should they reach for a defender simply to fill a need, or should they select the best player available regardless of position? That question becomes even more relevant when considering the possibility that elite offensive talent could slide down the board. Imagine a scenario where top defensive targets are gone, but a highly rated offensive playmaker remains available. Players like dynamic wide receivers or elite offensive tackles could suddenly become tempting options. Selecting one of those players could create ripple effects across the roster, potentially opening the door for future trades or strategic adjustments to the offensive lineup. The Cowboys front office is well aware that the NFL draft is not just about filling immediate needs. It is about maximizing long-term value. That philosophy traces back to one of the most influential innovations in draft history: the trade value chart developed during the early years of the Cowboys dynasty. Created under the leadership of Jimmy Johnson, the chart revolutionized how teams evaluate the value of draft picks. Even decades later, The principles behind that chart continue to influence negotiations across the league. When teams discuss potential trades during the draft, they often reference the same basic framework that Johnson's staff created in the early 1990s. While modern analytics have introduced alternative models, the original chart remains a common language that allows teams to quickly evaluate potential deals. Recent draft data suggests that the chart still holds remarkable predictive power. A large majority of trades in recent drafts fall within a narrow range of the values proposed by the chart. That consistency highlights how deeply ingrained the system has become in NFL decision-making. For the Cowboys, a team historically known for aggressive draft maneuvering, understanding these value dynamics could play a crucial role if they decide to move up or down during the draft. Ultimately, the Cowboys' offseason is shaping up to be a delicate balancing act between rebuilding and competing. The team has made bold moves, including major trades and targeted free agent additions, but several critical questions remain unanswered. How will the defensive line recover from the loss of key players? Will the secondary improvements be enough to stabilize the back end of the defense? And how will the front office use its valuable draft capital to address the remaining holes? These are the types of decisions that can define an NFL franchise for years. The Cowboys have positioned themselves with flexibility, resources, and a clear vision for how they want their defense to evolve. But executing that vision will require precision, patience, and perhaps a little bit of luck when the draft finally arrives. And if there is one thing Cowboys fans know better than anyone, it is that the margin between rebuilding and returning to championship contention can be incredibly thin. As the weeks leading up to the draft continue to unfold, every move Dallas makes will be scrutinized, debated, and analyzed by fans and experts alike. The pressure is immense, but so is the opportunity. With the right decisions, the Cowboys could transform this transitional offseason into the foundation of their next great era. If you want to stay updated with every major Cowboys development, every draft rumor, and every strategic breakdown leading into the 2026 NFL season, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an analysis like this.